For most people, there comes a time in our lives where we're like, you know what? I don't know if I'm on the right path. I don't know if this is the right thing for me. And you want to figure out what is the best path to take from that point forward. Maybe you grew up in an environment where they kind of made you go down a certain path and you always knew it was the wrong path and you always wanted to go down a different one. But again, you didn't know what to do, what steps to take. So today we're going to be talking about that. So stick around if you feel like you're on that path. That's the wrong one. And you want to make a switch, but you're not sure what steps to take. I forgot to turn off my loop. Oops. Hey, everybody. My name is Linda Sunshine West, and I'm the founder at Action Takers Publishing. I have with us one of our authors today, V. We're going to be talking about the second act in life. She's one of the authors in this book right here called Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. You can get your copy of the book plus free gifts from our authors by going to actiontakerspublishing.com/passion. So head on over there and see what we got in store for you at Action Takers Publishing. So V, we're going to be talking about the second act in life. And maybe for some people, it's the third act. We just don't know where they are in their lives. But before we start talking about this topic, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So first, thank you so much, Linda, for having me and the opportunity to, have the start of a very important conversation. So my who I am and right now is 35 years being a strategist, working on the largest companies in the world, then working with entrepreneurs. And I was very, very successful up until I added one more thing, created a family, and then totally felt that with all these things up in the air, I was just feeling at everything all at once. And it was very more than uncomfortable feeling to have. And I started compromising. And I think my story is a story of, it's one compromise at a time. And surely, slowly but surely, at the end of it is not what you have compromised, is who, and the who is you. So today I'm on the other side, and I'm happy to contribute to this book, Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. And through my story, really try to inspire women to take the steps into creating what's next. And it might be the end of this road, but it's not the end of your life, certainly, even though it might feel like that. So yes, you touched on it, like second life, third life, it's just generally the idea that there is something more, and at some point we just need a little help to get there. And that's what I'm happy to help women do right now.
It's interesting because you use the word, compromise. And I think this is something that you were taught at a very young age, depending on the family we grew up in, but to compromise this or that. I use a great example. When I was young, it was like, okay, you make sure your sister gets this. Like, I wanted it, so starting at it doesn't matter what it was. It could have been a doll or a toy or whatever, a piece of candy, but I wanted it. And so I had to compromise what I wanted to give it away. And that was kind of like a pattern that was just created. And I would be like, because I would get upset or disappointed or my feelings hurt. And I allowed that to just kind of like fester, And so as we talk about later in life, you're mentioning, there's various scenarios where we are allowing ourselves to compromise what it is that is best for us, what it is that we want. So let me ask you, how do we recognize, because oftentimes awareness is the key to change. So how do we recognize that we are compromising our beliefs, our views, our values, ourselves?
Yeah. So this is the tricky part. We tend to compromise. I was not a compromiser. I was not a compromiser. I was not in my DNA. But you get married and you have a child, and naturally speaking, naturally you put your child first. And I can't believe that I live up until I had my child. I was 36 years old. I was not a baby, right? And I was a very assertive executive. I was very well known to not compromise at all,
Uh,
because my job as a strategist is to create and hold the vision so that we can all like see it and transform from it. So that was not in my nature. And just when I became a mother, especially because I had lost my mother so young, I lost my mother, I was 17, my brother was 10. So I wanted to be a present mother. I knew I was not there forever. So I naturally put my child first. And obviously, there's no regret about it now. And we have an amazing relationship and bond. And I'm so happy I'm a mother. That's not the point of the discussion. But what happens in the meantime? And I can't believe that I spent 36 years not being my mother, and I ended up doing worse than my mother. and so the tricky
Been there,
part
done
to
that.
the question is we don't realize it because we do it for the greater good. We do it for the greater good. So at the end of it, so what's happening is I think we get signs like signals along the line. And I had the first signal like it was in 2005 that, okay, let's close this chapter. You're no longer a strategist working for large corporations. And yes, working with your husband on innovation has been amazing. Opened up, kept you growing in different ways. But now, what is that you would love? And I got my first certification as a coach in 2005. But the resistance that I was being held back, my previous identity. I was a strategist, I was a warrior, I was like, and so I was resisting stepping into my next identity. And then everybody around you is resisting because everybody knows you as a certain type of person, doing a certain type of thing, making a certain type of money, not being in a position of or starting. When you do this at a certain point in your career, you build some success and momentum. And then you're starting as a student, and starting from scratch. And so there's this battle. But along the way, surely the signs are going to get louder and louder and louder. And for me, it was at the end of my divorce. It was in my face, everything happening at once, because there was on top of that, there was the COVID, and then there was my child leaving for college. So it was like me facing me, and I got sick. So this is when my entire system shut down, and it felt obviously horrible at the time. I was head to toe in pain. I had no energy, and that my vitality, my energy had always been my trademark in the business and in my life, right? Like you could see, I got it back, right?
Right.
So by the time it was like system shut down, and I was physically grounded, and I could barely think, and that's what I do. At the time, I was selling my thinking, So it was terrifying, but this is what it took. And I think we all experience this type of thing, along the way. So are we listening? Are we paying attention? Are we allowing ourselves to listen to what our own system is trying to tell us? And for me, as the warrior, prisoner of this identity, I could not even conceive that I had to listen to myself.
That's interesting. Yeah. So how did you know to listen to yourself? And did you get help? Did you just intuitively know? Did it just happen one day?
So kind of, yeah. I think the people who turn around and make a major turnaround will always tell you there's a moment of truth, right? So for me, it was the night before a very big presentation that I had. And it's 3:00 in the morning, and I'm on my knees, literally, because I got up and I got on my rug in my room, and it was pitch dark room. And I'm like, okay, because of course I didn't mention the state I was in. I was just showing up like, always. And I said, okay, if I cannot even sleep, this is the end. And I really believed it. I thought I was the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I had signed my will, and I prepared my child. I thought I was the exit. But in this moment, for the first time, it felt like the warrior was really surrendering. And I lay down my weapon, like very good figuratively, like stop pushing, stop efforting, stop pretending that you're all right. And as now I know what was happening. I was just calming down my nervous system, right? But at the time, of course, you have no clue what's happening. So I was just calming down and breathing. And this when I heard a voice, and the voice said very gently and softly, and it was not judgmental. It was really caring. It says, ooh, brings always emotion when I share this. Where have you been, Veronique, for all these years? Where have you been? And of course, it got straight to my heart, because that was the question I needed to hear. And there was a ray of light. It hit me like a jolt of, it gave me a jolt of energy. I mean, it was a beautiful moment. And so in this moment, you asked me what was the turnaround. The turning point was, in that moment, I had the energy of making the decision that it was not the end, it was the beginning. I had no clue for once in my life, because I'm the strategist and I always know, and I know the path. I know where we're all going, and I didn't know, I had no clue. So I started also for the first time looking for help, some type of support and guidance, help me do things differently, because so far what I've been doing has led me here. And if I want to go anywhere else, I have to, like, obviously there's something I don't know. And I didn't want to look for a male mentor, because I had so much male energy in me, so much masculine energy in me. So it took me a minute, but when you're ready, the right mentor appears. And I was introduced to a system of transformation that I always say not only changed my life, but saved it. And that's true. I absolutely believe it. And so it started giving me my vitality back, aligning, rewiring my nervous system, allowing me to see what it is that I want for myself and for my life. And then, once you have clarity, with clarity comes confidence, and then you build it. It's just as simple as that. So now what I do is, so I got certified in this technology.
Well, before you go there, before you go to that technology, I have a question, because here you were, this warrior, right? You're in front of people, you're leading, you're doing all these amazing things. You're push, which is a male energy, and you're just like balls to the wall all the time. Then you come across this basically this wall that says stop, and then you hear it, and it says, where have you been? Yes. And you listen to that, and then you surrender, right? You lay down your weapons. What did that feel like, to go from this person who's, always in control, like, what's going on, you're the one strategizing the future. And so what did it feel to go from that to this surrender? I mean, that is like a vast difference. So how did that feel?
Peaceful. I just felt the only way to go was to be here and now, and authentic and naked. And because this is what it is, an identity is just a cloth and a uniform. And when you take it off and you're all naked, it feels good. It feels good not to have to know. It feels good not to be in control. I stopped fighting. And I think for me, that was the key. Stop fighting. And so it curiously, I think the need to be in control comes from a fact that, well, number one, that's all I knew, right? Because I told you I lost my mother very young, so I had to figure things out.
Right.
And I chose a profession where I had to know for everybody else, and I was paid for that. But there's a relief not to have to know. And so what's the switching gear here is to believe that there's another type of thing at play. And I think it was the connection. We talk about the connection with the universe, and I'm a student of quantum physics and all this stuff. And it was very intellectual up until then. And then I started really digging into it and experiencing wholeness, really, that, everything is energy. And so if you stop fighting with the energy, if you stop fighting from an energy that's not creative, when you start aligning your own energy, then you align with the system. As you're aligning your system with the system, and then everything is possible.
Well, let me ask you, do you help people get to that place? Is this part of what you do? Is you help
Yes.
them get to that place of peace, I guess, peace within themselves?
So peace is the outcome. It's not the destination, right? It's as you do the work, which is to align with, for me, the whole thing is, we're each of us is born unique, but we don't really fully get it. We know it, but we don't get it. It's
Right.
because it's by design, and it's by design because you hold a unique design. That's what I call the DNA, the distinctive natural asset. I think each of us has a code, a life code, and we're here to express it. And most of the time, we express somebody else's design. Like, what lost me, what got me to lose myself in my own life was to uh, express my husband's design, put myself behind his project, behind his ambition, and
Mm-hmm.
deny myself of expressing who I was. Because before that, I was doing it. I'm not one of these people who hated corporate. Like, corporate gave me a lot of power, a lot of momentum. So I was happy in that life. I was at the time, I was happy in that life. I would not do it. It's not for me now because I have evolved. But at the time, I was really happy in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So it starts with identifying what's my unique code, and I call it my DNA, your distinctive natural assets. And I'm a value creator. So it's not therapy. We flip everything, make it an asset. What's your unique source of value? And then help you, capitalize on that. I mean, what does it mean in real life, And so identity, as I'm describing, is the first thing. What is my DNA? Who is it that I am now? We need to update the perception of who we are. I had not updated my perception of who I was. I had become somebody else, and I didn't know, basically, in my absence of awareness. And so that's number one. That's the identity update, because that's your point of creation. You can only create from the perception that you have of who you are. The second thing, if you want to move to different results, you need to know where you're heading. So that's the vision part. And that's what strategies we do. We create from the assets, we create a vision, and then from there, we transform the company. So it's exactly the same thing for personal transformation. From the dream, so I'm a certified dream builder. What's amazing is the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imaginary or virtual. So we learn to use our memory, a faculty of memory, to build forward, not to go
Mm-hmm.
back. We often misuse our faculty of memory to look back, like recall everything bad that happened to us. That is looking backward. This is like, if you understand quantum physics, that's the last place you want to put energy onto. You want to put energy on the things that you want to leave, right? You want to experience. So identity, vision, and then through the system of becoming, you discover your vocation, which I call your spiritual DNA. Who is it that I'm designed to be? So that's the alignment. Everything starts to click. All the dots start connecting in a new way by itself. I'm just guiding and facilitating this. And it's magical. And then on the other side, once you know who you're designed to be, I help them build it, because that becomes okay. Now, what's the vehicle? What's the vehicle that's going to be the vehicle of your expression and contribution in this world, coming from your unique design? So the beauty of it, and I think it's really where everything I do connects, because I develop innovations as well. And it's about, we are here to contribute. Each of us, we hold a piece of it. And it's not about competition. It's not about scarcity mindset. You're taking this job and it's mine. And, no, It's about raising, growing into expressing your own design.
That's awesome. That's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I think I would have like 10,000 more questions for you, but we don't have time for that, unfortunately. But this is absolutely fascinating. And I just want to share with you that if you want to get a free, complimentary strategy session with V, go to, please pronounce it for me, Veronique
Perfect.
dash. Okay, Veronique dash Gautier.
Perfect.
.com. That's VERONIQUE dash GAUTIER.com. Head on over there and get a complimentary session. If you'd like to explore a little bit more about you, who you are, what you're all about, Veronique can help you with that. Or V, you can call her V. She will be able to help you with that. And here's the thing is when we are going through our lives and we've gone through our lives as we were, it doesn't mean that we have to remain that person. I just posted something recently on Facebook. It said, I was who I was so I could become who I am. Yes. I am who I am so I can become who I'm going to become. And so it's a journey. It's a journey. And sometimes we need help. I know I needed help. I had a life coach at age 51 in order to help me. That was my breaking point. Like yours, sitting there at 3 a.m., I was sitting in traffic, after 36 years and 51 years old. I was like, this is it. Like that was I got to change. And I did. It changed drastically. But I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your story in the book, Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. You can check out her chapter as well as chapters from other authors by going to actiontakerspublishing.com/passion. Go get free gifts from the authors also while you're there. So what's one last thing you would like to share with the audience today as we end this session?
I just want to say, I wished, obviously, that I had not put myself through it, but now I'm happy I did because I think I explored every inches of this thing. And so my message is don't waste one more minute. Start now. Start now. You're only delaying or you're depriving yourself of vitality. And this is actually the ultimate lesson for me is we believe it's luxury. Reinventing ourselves is luxury. It's not. It's a matter of giving ourselves life because, we are removing all this limitation and this kick in the hose so that life can flow through us. So we're giving it to ourselves. So for me, the benefit of doing this work is to give yourself the gift of full life vitality across everything you are and do.
Oh, I love that. Full life vitality. You're never too old to start something new. If you've ever thought like, I want to make a change in my life, but you have not taken those steps, again, sometimes you just need that help to do that. Reach out to V again at Veronique-Gautier.com. Get it on her calendar and see how she can help you to transform your life and get you started. You need that information in order to know where you're going to go. So V, thanks so much for being here. Truly appreciate you sharing your message and your story and have an awesome day.
Thank you so much, Linda. Take care, everybody.
You're welcome.